American History X is a 1998 drama starring Edward Norton, Edward Furlong, and is directed by Tony Kaye. This video has major spoilers on the entire film. Fair warning. This is a story of two brothers living in Venice Beach, California. After their father, a firefighter, dies putting out a fire in a black community, the eldest brother Derek directs all his hatred towards minorities. He becomes immersed with the neo-Nazi community and buys into all of it. He spends 3 years in prison for violently killing two black men who were breaking into his car. In prison, he gets violently raped by a group of fellow skinheads, and the only prisoner he bonds with is a black man. He is also guided by his black high school principal who also works with the police. When he gets out of prison, he wants to change his life and completely distance himself from the neo-Nazi community, but he finds his little brother Danny has followed in his old footsteps and is going down the same path. Derek cuts his ties with all the skinheads and tells Danny exactly what happened to him in prison. Danny realizes his brother is right and decides to change his life, but it's too late. The next day, he is shot to death at school. The film jumps around in time, switching from black and white film to color. I remember pointing this out as a kid, and my older sister explained to me how all the past was in black and white, but then he saw all colors when he changed his ways. I was like, holy shit, that's deep. The use of black and white works on every level. I know a lot of people don't like black and white films, but I grew up on The Twilight Zone, Ed Wood, and The Wizard of Oz, so I love seeing black and white films. This made me respect the film more, even as a child. It's just beautiful cinematography, also filmed by the director Tony Kaye, and it's a perfect balance for people who don't like black and white film because it's used as a concept, but they still get to see color. It was just a great idea that completely serves the story. It's hard to review a film this well made, because if I get into every great scene, I'd have to just break down the entire film and we'd be here all day, but my favorite sequences are the basketball game at the beach and when they invade the grocery store. Both sequences are kind of B-plot, not too important overall, but they're so well made. Honestly, I think this whole film is great. I've read when the director Tony Kaye showed Edward Norton the original script, it was very different. It was more of a gang film. Edward Norton saw more potential in it and worked on the screenplay, turning it into a Shakespearean story, with the father dying in the beginning and Danny dying tragically at the end after they decided to change their lives for the better. Edward Norton was said to have re-edited the film to lengthen his screen time. Director Tony Kaye then attempted to get his own name removed from the credits, but violated a Directors Guild of America rule. Basically, the rule is if you use a fake name, you can't talk about why you use the fake name publicly, which Tony Kaye had done in ads for Variety. According to Entertainment Weekly, he then wanted his credit to read Humpty Dumpty. Eventually, Kaye sued the DGA and New Line Cinema for millions of dollars. It sucks that the director was so disappointed in a film that he brought to the studio and got put together, but you can't argue with the end result, which is that they made a great film. Edward Norton even got an Academy Award nomination for his performance. Who knows what the film would be like if Tony Kaye had made the project how he originally intended. This film came out when I was 6 years old. My sister watched it and for some reason explained the opening curb stomp kill to me, and I kept thinking about it. So in 4th grade, I bought the DVD and I liked it. I was too young to take in the entire grasp of the film, but even then I knew it was a great film. So this film has been in my life for a long time. I remember in 6th grade, my English teacher was talking about racism and white supremacy, and I told her about this film and how they use the black and white to switching color to represent the main character's outlook on life. The next week, she told me she rented the film and yelled at me for recommending such a violent, ugly, and inappropriate film. She told me I should be ashamed of myself for liking a film like this. I wasn't. In hindsight, I probably should have warned her how violent and controversial the film was, but she should have known it wasn't going to be a pleasant film, being that it's about racism and white supremacy. Adult, child, teacher, this is a pretty shocking film. It doesn't hold back, but that's why it works. You can't make a film about this kind of story and hold back. For this film to work, it needs to show you how dehumanizing, violent, and ugly racism can be, and it does. It's sad and scary, but it needs to work the other way around too. For this film to work, it also needs to show you how Derek and Danny bought into this white supremacy, white Protestant higher class bullshit. White supremacists, neo-Nazis, Ku Klux Klan, skinheads are just another street gang. They say they hate minorities for ruining this country with their laziness and criminal activities, but most skinheads are unemployed criminal losers. It's just like any other gang. All races form their own gangs, from the Bloods to the Crips to the Mexican Mafia bullshit, and more than most gangs stick to one race. Skinheads just hide behind their fake politics. They're not much worse than any other street gang to me. Bottom line is, they're all angry criminals. Let's talk about Cameron. He's the head Nazi who recruited Derek and runs all the white gangs. It's like Derek tells him, he preys on people. He finds insecure, frustrated, and impressionable kids and gives them something to focus their hate on. He uses them to do his bidding. It's just like any other gang. That's what I take away from this film. No matter what race you are, there will always be someone like Cameron looking for angry kids so they can twist their minds into thinking exactly what they want them to think. Just like Derek and Danny, kids buy into it, and it's because they're angry and lost. Derek and Danny were angry that their father died, but there is a flashback when their father is alive, and Derek is telling him how Sweeney, his black teacher, has him reading a book called Native Son, which is black literature, and his father tells him, "It's everywhere I look now, this affirmative black shin." He tells him, "Read the book, Ace the guy's test, just don't swallow everything that he feeds you. All the stuff about making things equal, it's not that simple. So what happens to the other books you took out of the course? What, they're not good enough because they're not about black people? You gotta question these things, Derek. We're talking about books, but we're also talking about my job. I got 2 black guys on my squad because they fit a criteria. What about the 2 white guys that actually scored higher than them on their exams? Sure, everything is equal now, but now I got 2 guys watching my back, responsible for my life, who aren't as good as 2 other guys, but they got the job because they're black, not because they were the best. Is that what America's about? No, it's about the best man gets the job. There's a hidden agenda. Derek tells him, I see what you're saying, but this Sweeney guy comes on so strong, it's hard not to listen, but maybe you're right. He tells him Sweeney is selling bullshit. It's bullshit. I'm sorry for using that word, but I am quoting this film, and if you're too sensitive for that, I apologize, but it's just a word, and I think that this scene and monologue is important. It's obvious that Derek's father has a grudge about these 2 black guys that got hired, and that's what brought this up for him, but Derek, like his father, has so many great monologues fueled by hatred and anger, but sprinkled throughout them are small bits of truth. I agree when Derek's father says America is about the best man for the job, or the Rodney King conversation Derek is having with Danny's Jewish teacher. He makes some good points. Or when he's giving the speech to the skinheads before they vandalize a grocery store. Both these speeches are hateful and racist, but there are some good points. These are complicated issues, and the film takes an honest look at both sides of the argument. You can understand some of his anger and how these kids bought into this. When I watch this film as an adult, there are moments I would think he's right about some of this. Then I instantly thought, what the fuck is wrong with me? You're agreeing with a violent, hateful neo-Nazi. I actually felt bad for agreeing with some of his points, but then I realized, no, this is not the rant of some neo-Nazi trying to convert me. This is a structured, incredibly well-written monologue by a team of artists who are writing from the mindset of an intelligent neo-Nazi played by an incredibly talented actor. Then I realized if I could buy into some of this bullshit even for one moment, imagine what all these angry, impressionable kids would swallow for men half as intelligent as Derek. Derek is an intelligent person who bought into this dangerous bullshit. That's what all this gang shit is, bullshit. And any race can buy into it. White, black, Asian, Mexican, any race. And just how any race can buy into this gang shit, anyone can get out of it. It's like Sweeney says, Danny learned this stuff and he can unlearn it too. You're never too old to change your ways, but sometimes it's just too late. There's a scene after Derek is raped in prison and he's talking to Sweeney. Sweeney tells him, I used to be just like you, angry at everything. I blamed white people, I blamed God, I blamed the world. Then I realized I was looking for answers, but I was asking the wrong questions. Derek asks him, what are the right questions? He replies, has anything you've done made your life any better? That's an important question in my life. When I get incredibly angry and think about doing something violent as much as I want to do it, I always try to ask myself that question, will this make my life any better? I could sit here and tell you that this film made me look at the world differently and that it helped me at a young age see how wrong racism and just holding on to hate is in general. As inappropriate as this film is, I'm glad I watched it at such a young age. It did put a lot of great messages in my head. But honestly, that's not why I love this film. I love it for the casting, writing, and most of all, the cinematography. Tony Kaye created a visual masterpiece and Edward Norton helped him form a powerful, moving story that will affect viewers forever. This film is a melodrama. Like I said earlier, very Shakespearean. There's a reason why people still read Shakespeare. The emotions and themes are timeless. This is a timeless story. There will always be racism, gangs, and angry men like Derek, lost naive kids like Danny, and predators like Cameron. So that's my review on American History X. I'm Jacob from Cinema Junkies. Thanks for watching. Keep watching. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, hit that like button, and follow me on Instagram, cinemajunkies_. Don't forget the underscore.